Welcome to the DNA show.
DNA? Dude, are we doing a science show?
No, D is for Dennis.
Oh, A is for Andy.
And N is for and?
Oh, man, nerds.
Oh, yeah.
We're nerds, dude.
Yeah. Well, good. Then we can talk about comics and movies and pop culture and sports.
Sports and nerds. Yeah, we're going to make that work.
All right, let's roll.
All right, we are back. I'm Andy with my buddy.
This is Dennis.
And we're going to start off with, I read something rather interesting, a little football talk. So, for those that don't know, Tom Brady is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Indeed.
Indeed he is. And coming out of retirement was the Gronk.
Yeah, kind of exciting news.
Rob Gronkowski teaming up with Tom Brady again. Of course, with the Bucs. Now, why do you think Gronkowski came out of retirement?
You know, if I were to guess, it would probably be because Tom Brady joined it. They are really good friends in real life, and I would say he knows he has a chance because Tampa Bay's not a terrible team, and they might be able to win a Super Bowl or another champion, which would be cool to do with another team. That'd be my guess.
Those are rather good guesses. But there's another big aspect to it that I just read about, and it's Rob's mom lives in Tampa.
Really?
I read an article saying that it wasn't Brady that was the deciding factor. Like you said, that helps.
Yeah.
But more of it, it was that his mom lives in Tampa. She'll be able to go to every game. You know, every home game, obviously.
Yep.
Obviously, he could fly her to other ones. But she'll literally be able to just drive to the home games, you know, get some sweet-ass parking because it's Gronkowski. It's not going to be like, hey, go park out, you know, and walk. And he can visit with her during the week and stuff.
Very cool.
So, yeah, I thought that was a fun little tidbit to start with.
Yeah. Well, go Tampa. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch.
Family ties.
That's right.
That's what it takes.
That's right.
So I watched, on Dennis's recommendation, actually, his recommendation, and it was new to me. I never even heard of it. Morgan Spurlock. Morgan Spurlock's newest doc, a sequel to Super Size Me, called Super Size Me 2.
Right. So the background is kind of interesting for those of you who hadn't seen. The original Super Size Me was where he was trying to show how bad fast food is. And so you
How
can say
dare he?
He picked on McDonald's in that case. But
Even worse.
It was a really interesting dive into, you know, the fast food industry in this country. And it was all about, you know, he took 30 days and all he did was eat McDonald's food under the supervision of a doctor. And he tried everything, and if they asked him, would you like that Super Size Me? But of course,
right.
But they always had to ask. And then they checked his health throughout and realized how bad it was.
Sure.
So he could not eat fast food for many, many years.
Oh, yeah, no, and I that doc is 12 years old.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it, and, you know, look, I don't know if everybody was turned off by it. Like, I wasn't. I still eat at McDonald's every now and then.
Everybody still does.
But, I mean, I've never... and, you know, let me know about you too, Dennis, but I've never been the guy that, even in college, I never ate fast food daily.
Right.
I guess growing up, you know, there's a McDonald's right up the road from where we lived. And I remember one time, it was more of a treat thing. My mom would be like, and my parents would be like, hey, we're taking you boys to McDonald's, you know, as a treat. It wasn't like we're eating here every night.
Right.
You know, and it was kind of a treat because they'd be like, you know, get a milkshake, get your ice cream, you know, whatever. I remember McDonald Land cookies. I love McDonald's.
Exactly.
Love McDonald Land cookies.
And their apple pies.
Apple pies.
They were amazing back then.
You know, the other thing that really sticks out to me, and I don't drink soda anymore, but as a kid, and when I say kid, I mean teenager into my early 20s before I stopped drinking soda, I loved Sprite. But I only liked the Sprite from McDonald's. I'll say it on draft because that's basically what it was. It wasn't out of a can because there was a distinct taste that I could tell from drinking Sprite out of a bottle, you know,
Yep.
whether it be 2 liter or just a single serve or a can compared to out of the
fountain.
The fountain.
Yep, my wife's the same way, so she's a Mountain Dew nut.
Yeah.
And literally, when we go out, it's like she'll get that mood. There's no point. Don't get me a bottle. Don't get me a can. She needs a fountain Mountain Dew. Oh, Taco Bell time, because they always have Mountain Dew, so we know where we're going when if she needs her fountain fix for Mountain Dew. But it's true. It tastes totally different.
It does. It's got to be, I don't know, the air getting into it. If anybody knows, hit us up on Facebook, because I'd love to know why the stuff that's bottled tastes different from the fountain.
Right. And the other thing that I would like to know is, so McDonald's from in the past was they had Shamrock Shakes at St. Patty's time. Well, a lot of the country now, they've been introduced, throughout the country.
Sure.
But when it was first released, I'm originally from Wisconsin, and we had it up there. So when we moved to Texas, they didn't have it and things like that. So it was just great. The taste has changed, and now they're fancy McShakes, with their cafe.
Has it really?
Yeah, it has changed. Although I talked to one of the owners, he's a franchise owner, owns several of them, and I said, these taste completely different than what they used to, because they used to be really amazing, and they're still good,
right?
But there's something different. He goes, well, as far as I know, in the last 10 years, they're the same. And I'm like, yeah, we're going way back machine here. But I just want to know if anybody knows, did the formula change from the Shamrock Shakes from the 80s to what they are now? Because they taste completely different. And I don't mean just adding the whipped cream. So, yeah.
Okay, so before we get on to Super Size Me 2, McDonald's, what's your favorite meal from McDonald's, Dennis? Favorite thing you like to get?
It honestly used to be the meal with the Big Mac. However, the Big Mac, for whatever reason, over the last few years, they've gotten really dry. And they're just not as good, whereas their Quarter Pounders are fresh now and taste way better. So, I would say it would be the Quarter Pounder. The cookies aren't as good as they used to be. Nor are the apple pies. They changed the formula to make them healthier.
I haven't noticed the difference with apple pies. The cookies I have, my favorite thing, and it goes back to being a kid, still holds to this day. If I go to McDonald's, I'll get 2 plain hamburgers. So just the bun and the meat, no ketchup, no pickles. Now, it's not that I don't like that stuff, because I do. But as a kid, I didn't. So my mom would order me 2 plain ones. And there's just something about it. I love how they grill the bun so the bun's a little toasty.
Yeah.
And I love the taste of their burger, and something about their chocolate shake, too. Their chocolate shake tastes different from a Burger King one, from a Wendy's Frosty, from any other. I don't know what it is.
So does their strawberry.
Yep.
They're unique.
And I love their chocolate shakes as well. So that's my go-to when we go to McDonald's. And funny thing is, for anybody listening going, don't eat that garbage, it's bad for you. I remember an issue of Men's Health magazine where they did a thing saying, if you have to eat fast food, what's the best fast food to eat? And if you want a quick protein pick-me-up that's not going to load you down with a ton of stuff, McDonald's plain hamburger.
Really?
Or hamburger. You can get... because the ketchup, mustard, and pickle and a little bit of onions aren't going to add that much to it. But yeah, the McDonald's hamburger, because basically, or hamburger with cheese, because cheese is protein, it's good for you. But yeah, the McDonald's hamburger, because basically, if you really want to be healthier, you could just chuck the bun when you got it. If you don't want to eat the carbs from the bun and just eat the patty. But yeah, it's 14 grams of protein.
Cool.
So 2 of them is 28 grams of protein, which is a good amount. So...
Well, I do have a really interesting story, which we'll do at the end of the show after we finish talking about Super Size Me, about McDonald's hamburgers.
Damn, you tease.
I did.
He didn't even tell me what it is. Psych. Of course I know what it is. We do show prep. We're professionals. But I tell you what, it'll blow your socks off.
So, on to Super Size Me 2. So, 12 years after Morgan did Super Size Me.
Yep.
I happened to be on YouTube one day, and it just popped up in my feed, and it said Super Size Me 2. And I was like, what's that? So, of course, I'm curious, and I have to go look. Oh, what does it sound like a 5-minute clip? It's an entire hour-and-a-half movie. It's like an hour and 28 minutes or something. And I was like, what? How can there be a 2? I must investigate. So, of course, I started watching it, threw it up on my TV, and I was like, he decides after 12 years, I'm going to open up my own chicken fast food restaurant.
That is just, when you told me that, because you told me about it, and I'm pretty sure I actually did hear about it before that, but it just didn't interest me, because I'm like, oh, what's he going to do? The same thing? I don't care. I already saw you eat McDonald's for 30 days. But then when you told me that he was going to open up his own fast food restaurant and raise his own chickens and do all the research, I was like, all right, I got to watch this now.
So the premise was, and this is why I was like, okay, Andy, you need to watch this. Matter of fact, I've got some of my other family members and friends that are watching it now. And it was just an incredibly well done show. So the premise is, well, I'm going to open up a fast food restaurant, but what does that mean? And how do I do it? He decides that he's going to be involved in every aspect of it. So he's going to raise his own chickens and bring it basically to a restaurant.
Yeah, farm to table, baby.
Yep.
So one of the things he does, that he goes to this company because you have to obviously have your unique sandwich. Think about it. Burger King is the Whopper. McDonald's has the Big Mac. Taco Bell, what would you say would Taco Bell be?
Well, it's their burritos.
Burrito. Yeah, but do they have a signature one?
Well, it used to be the chalupa.
Oh, yeah, the chalupa. So anyhow, I just assumed all these different recipes were basically, head of McDonald's is like, okay, we got to come up with a signature sandwich. And they just, over time, came up with it. Or when they want to come up, because McDonald's has been around forever, so is the Big Mac. So when McDonald's does something new, you just think that they have their own McDonald's kitchen and their chefs are in it and they just experiment and whatever. And maybe that is part of what they do, but Morgan actually went to this company called CCD Innovation. And what CCD Innovation is they come up with different recipes and signature foods for different places.
They're like a test kitchen.
Right.
So they have chefs.
Yeah, they have chefs. So he goes in and met with these two women that own the place, and they walked him through the kitchen and spoke about different companies they've worked for. And one that stuck out to me was Taco Bell, because one of my favorite things from Taco Bell was the cheesy gordita crunch.
Right.
And
my wife loves it.
I love those. I go to Taco Bell. I don't care if somebody comes up to me and goes, that's not real Mexican. I'm like, you shut your mouth. They say tacos, it's Mexican. And I love Taco Bell. So when I go to Taco Bell, I always get the cheesy gordita crunch. There's just something about the hard taco, and then on the outside, it's wrapped in it. It's a hard taco shell, and outside of it is a soft taco shell, a thicker one though, that has melted cheese, and it just goops together around the hard taco, and it's just so savory, and my mouth's watering. I know what dinner is.
So who made it?
CCD Innovation came up with it.
Wow.
And they've come up with stuff for Burger King, Kraft, Naked Juice, Sabra, Safeway, Haagen-Dazs, Kellogg's. I mean, this list of clients they have is just, like I said, I had no idea.
Yep.
I just assumed all these companies had their own private, and I'm sure they do, but until I watched this documentary, I had no idea that...
It's like a test tube kitchen. So
it is.
He decides, he goes, I want to open up and start my own chicken restaurant. So they were like, well, how do you go about doing that? Well, you've got to differentiate. You've got to come up with a product that nobody else has. Well, Morgan, it's all about being healthy.
Right.
So he goes, so obviously a grilled chicken is what would be the healthy option.
Right.
Right. So he's like, all right, grilled chicken. Well, the more research, and when you see this, it'll be very amazing. So to see the progression, well, grilled chicken is the healthiest option.
Yep.
But nobody likes grilled chicken.
No. He goes on the street. This is great. And by the way, if you don't want to hear much about this, you should probably... We always want you to listen, but we're dropping it like it's hot. So if you don't want to hear about it, I'm sorry, we're talking about it. he goes on the street, and I don't know what city he was in where he did this, but he's on the street, and he's literally, if you go to a chicken restaurant, what do you order? Fried chicken, fried chicken, fried. Not one person said grilled, and it blew my mind because honestly, I wish he came up to me because I would have said, "Oh, grilled chicken sandwich."
Yeah, and
I don't order fried.
Then they would have just stricken you off the show because you're weird.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. I was talking to two of my buddies, two of our mutual friends, about this Super Size Me 2 and about this part. And when I said that, they were both like, "You're lying," and I'm like, "I'm not." They're like, "Well, then you're just crazy because nobody wants grilled chicken over fried chicken." And I'm like, "That's not true. I do. I don't like fried chicken. I love good grilled chicken sandwiches."
Even one of the guys was very honest. He goes, I should probably order the grilled chicken, but I like the crispy chicken way better. And they're like, yeah, everybody wants to order the crispy chicken.
I'm the odd man out. So
you would be. You really would be. So then he goes, well, we need to see what everybody else has. So they go on. So they go on this road trip. And they go, they hit like Burger King. That was one of my favorites. And he goes, well, I think this is the Whopper place for a reason. And they pull out the chicken, and he goes, just take a look at this. And he bites into the end, and then you realize the whole thing's like hollow.
Oh my
it's
God,
like all breading.
Ridiculous.
And he goes, it's like a mitt. And he literally puts his two fingers up into it and does it like a little sock puppet mitt.
Yep.
And he goes, this is a chicken sandwich from Burger King. Now, granted, love the Whopper and stuff like that. Yeah. But that's just bad. I mean,
and they were, so the company, the CCD Innovation place is in Emeryville, California. So that's where they were driving around when they were doing this. That's where he got the burger. And it was hysterical. He slipped his two fingers inside this chicken fried patty.
Yep. But they go to Wendy's and they do all these different ones and they test them out at a lot of the fast food places. They even then go to like a healthy fast food place where they get an actual grilled chicken breast and but they're like, that's a $15, $20 meal just to get a healthy version.
Right.
So most people, they already know they don't taste as good and it's way, way more expensive to get something that's healthy.
Right.
So he goes, how do I bring together a healthy option? Because none of those chicken sandwiches look good. They taste good, but none of them really were good and there wasn't a lot of chicken in quite a few of them. So they decided, he goes, well, what if I, raise my own chicken? Because, if I raise them by hand instead of having the big companies do it, and I bring it from farm to table, which becomes it. Which was a very interesting, concept because he didn't hire somebody to do it. He actually went and visited a chicken company. So it was cool because they were looking around and he was making all these phone calls. Hey, can I buy chickens from you? Can I get chickens? Oh, yeah, no. You got to call so-and-so and so-and-so.
Oh,
and then he calls one and he goes, all right, can I buy chickens? And he goes, oh, well, we can see about that in your name. And he goes, Morgan. And Morgan, what's your last name? And he goes, Spurlock. He goes, are you a filmmaker?
That was awesome.
So the guy recognized the name and he goes, and I'm also a filmmaker and a chicken farmer.
Yeah.
And then he goes, please hold, and basically hangs up on him.
I got to be honest. Now, after watching this, if I got a call and the dude said he was Morgan Spurlock, I'd be like, oh, I know who you are. But before watching this, because it's been basically 12 years since he was on my radar, I probably wouldn't even think twice. Just be like, oh, okay, whatever. What can I do for you, Mr. Spurlock? But, so he finally finds a place to sell him, I think it's like 20,000 chicks.
Not 20,000, 25 or 2,600.
Oh, 100.
Yeah, because the big farmer had 28,000.
Oh, right. So he got, so he got like 2,500, whatever. And he finds this farm in Alabama.
Yep.
That basically will rent him out one of their empty barns that is used for, basically taking the baby chicks to growth and then shipping them out to slaughter for the restaurants and stuff. So he rents out one of the barns to Morgan, And one of the things that was just mind-blowing is these chickens go from hatching to full-size, ready to slaughter to, to cook up and eat in 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
And I told my wife this because she didn't want to watch it. She has no interest in documentaries. She likes a romance, Hallmark romance. And I do too. I have a soft spot. But I was like, I'm telling her, she goes, yeah, they're pumped full of hormones. And they're not. It's how they're bred.
Right. These are genetically...
It's all genetically altered.
Right.
From, like I said, breeding and stuff. I don't know. But they're not injected. Because that was one of the things. Morgan called up the USDA. Because it's USDA, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because he wanted to follow the guidelines. So he's like, well, what do I have to do to label hormone free?
Right.
What do I have to do for this? What do I have to do for this? And so these baby chicks, well, one, he walks in to the barn and the truck backs up with the crates of the baby chicks and he's gently, and I don't know how many are in a crate.
It was adorable.
Let's just say there's 100 in a crate. Because I have no idea. There's a bunch. And Morgan's gently kneeling down and tipping the crates so they kind of gently fall out. Chicken farmer's in the back that does this for a living. He's taking crates and he's just like, dump, not bending down. He's like, they're durable. Just dump them out.
Not just dump. He goes, it kind of shocks them and wakes them up and realize, oh, you're ready now. You're here.
Yeah. You're
and
not
we're
your
like,
comfort.
whoa. But you have to be careful not to step on them because they literally come flocking up to him like little baby chicks. And like, mother.
It's a low eye level shot and it's focused on Morgan, but off camera you hear and he's like, what was that? And he goes, sometimes, there's a farmer, he goes, sometimes they get under your feet, you accidentally step on one, they just pop.
Yeah, you try not to, but
you definitely try not to.
Oh.
But then, so these chicks, they grow in 6 weeks, and they showed one of these chickens 6 weeks old compared to a regular chicken 6 weeks old, and it's like looking at Bruce Banner and the Hulk.
Right.
This the regular 6-week-old chicken is Bruce Banner, a normal human man. And then this 6-week chicken that was genetically modified so they could slaughter it for the huge breast and wings and all that is just jacked.
So it's so interesting watching the growth because as the story progresses, they show you the chicken 1 week and 2 weeks and 3 up to 6. But as you start seeing it, you know how little cute chickens are and their feathers grow. Well, half of these chickens don't hardly have any feathers because the feathers can't grow fast enough to keep up with the chicken. Their legs ball out from the weight. Their hearts give out. They literally have heart attacks throughout the episode because they grow so quick. So these chickens are bred strictly for eating.
Dude, just like when Bruce Banner hawks out and his clothes rip off, these chickens hawk out and their feathers just pop off.
They literally do.
So, the other thing, when the chicks hatch, and this is before Morgan gets a hold of them, so when they're at the chicken breeding place, whatever you call it, because it's not the farm, when the chicks hatch, they're on an assembly line type deal, and they're separated out, male and female. The females don't go to the farm. Only the males do. Because they're better for eating. They make for better food and with the growth rate and stuff. So boom, once again, males being led to the slaughter. Always putting us down. Females at the if you're a baby chick, you want to be a female because you're tossed aside for breeding stuff, not for slaughter and for restaurants.
My wife wouldn't disagree with that comment.
It fascinated me too.
The whole thing of just how they were bred. So, like I said, my wife's a farmer. She grew up on a farm.
Yeah,
and she goes, "Well, that's
right."
How
she watched this with you.
Oh yeah, I made her and my daughter, who's vegan, watch this. And of course, my daughter was like, I'm not watching that. Why would I watch it? I'm like, because it's such a unique, amazing ending. You need to watch it. So I got her to. They admitted when it was done, okay, this is really awesome. But they were sitting there just going, you're watching the chickens and then, how they're bred. Then in the end, they wind up, taking them. So you see the growth of the chicken throughout. So now that they have these chickens growing, they actually need to have a test bed to try out this new restaurant concept. So he goes around and starts figuring out, well, what would make the public want to do this? Well, there's all of these very important buzzwords which are called health halos.
Right.
Which turns out to be one of the most important parts of it. So how do we make this chicken taste really, really, really good while making it sound really, really healthy?
And this is when he was talking he was getting actually information on this from the place that came up with the recipe, but also from the 2 ad guys he hired too, right?
Yeah.
And then there was that other guy. Remember the other guy in the beginning that had the longer hair that he first went to and said, I wanted to do a fast food restaurant? The guy was like, what?
Yep.
That was a totally different guy.
Yeah, so that was like his, I think, agent. And
okay.
Because he was probably one of the ones from the original one.
Right.
So he thought he was joking. You really want to... After he goes, no, I'm serious. So they go trying to figure out, all right, so I need to understand how to raise healthy chickens. So what do we do? So you go out there and figure out, well, free range is a good thing. So
free range is great.
How do we make free range? Everybody loves free range chicken. So as Andy said earlier, they call the USDA and they're like, well, they have to have the opportunity to go outside.
Well, let's just play a game. Dennis, ask me before I saw this movie what I thought free range was.
Andy, what was free range?
Well, Dennis, without seeing this movie, I would assume free range is kind of like my backyard. It's fenced in. It's lots of grass, not really any trees in my backyard. Just a big, sprawling area that's at least, my backyard has got to be at least, 1,500 square feet?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, throw some chickens out there. They've got 1,500 feet, sunlight, maybe have a little covering so if the weather's bad, they can run under there. So if it's raining or something, but mostly they're just out walking around in my backyard their whole life until they're led to slaughter. That's free range, right, Dennis?
That's what you would think. The answer is not even close.
What?
They have to have the opportunity to access the outdoor for a part of the day. So what they do is they got the barn door.
Yeah.
He opens up the barn door.
Which is about how wide, would you say, open?
I would say it was probably about 6 feet open.
6 feet. Yeah, I'd go that. 6 feet.
And then he's got a chain, like part of a fence, curved fence, that goes out maybe 3 feet.
Yep.
And he puts it in front of the door. So there is literally a 6 foot wide by 3 foot curvature in front of the open door.
It was a half circle is basically what it was. So it wasn't 6 feet by 3 feet, which is 18 square feet.
Right.
Which, when you hear 18 square feet, you're like, well, that's not too bad. But this is an arched half circle. So it cuts down that square footage. I'm not good at geometry. Whatever type of math this is, whatever...
Was it half pi r squared?
Yeah, it's got to be. There's no way that was even 10 square feet.
Right.
And I'm looking at it going, and then they just leave the barn doors open 24/7.
And they're like, go chickens, go, right. Go. And the chickens sit there.
The chickens are just like one walks out, they take one and they set it out there, and he's like, whoa, that sun's kind of, I don't know what that is, but it feels hot out here. I'm walking back in. And it walks back in.
Right.
And the only thought I had was, so what you're saying is I'm free range Andy because I have access to the outside anytime I want it.
Correct.
And Dennis, you're free range as well.
Correct.
We're all free range beings.
That's right.
Because if we want to go out, we can. But we don't have to.
Right. Exactly. So it's interesting because you see these terms and they're like, well, hormone. Well, we don't add hormones. And they're like, ooh, that sounds like it's a great thing. Well, we won't add hormones.
Right.
He finds out it's illegal to add hormones to chickens anyway.
Right.
So every chicken that you pick up from any store is automatically hormone free. But you can say it.
Right. Now, they did when they were chicks before he picked them up. After they were separated out from male-female, they each did get one shot, which was just, I can't remember what it was for, but it's kind of like when you take your pet for its first shot.
It's like an immunization.
Yeah, an immunization shot. And it was hysterical how they did that, too, because it wasn't just a dude with a needle stabbing each one. It was actually a little mechanical device that they held the chicken in front of. So they hold the baby chicken in the palm of their hand, put it in front of this little device, and the device goes, pa-chink.
right in the neck.
And then they put the chick aside, pick another one up, pa-chink. Put that chick aside, pick another one up, ka-chink.
Yeah.
So they did. They get one shot, but it's just an immunization type thing. So yeah, so it's hormone free now. It's cage free, or it's range.
Free range.
Free range. I'm trying to think what was.
Oh, and then it becomes all natural.
Oh,
in order
right.
to be labeled all natural, you just can't be synthetic, which means they're pretty much all natural. So
Right.
now they're all natural.
Right. What's a synthetic chicken?
Right.
I mean, duh.
Right.
It's
So
not cloned. It's not like these,
So we don't want to give away all of the things because there's so many, but these are what they call health halos. All these different descriptions that make them sound like we're really healthy and we're doing something very special. When in essence, they're not doing anything different than anybody else. The problem is it's big chicken. So there's big pharma and big oil and there's big chicken. So it's your Tysons, your big ones. They control almost everything that's out there. And everything is done based on it's on a tiered system where they rank you based on how big your chickens are. And then the higher you up are on the list, the more money that you get.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, wow, well, that's kind of an interesting way to get
I'm telling you, man, if people are like, where'd the mafia go? You just don't see them anymore. I think we found their new stronghold.
Yep.
Because chickens aren't going out of style anytime soon.
Yep.
KFC's not going anywhere. Popeyes ain't going anywhere. Churches ain't going anywhere.
They figure that they do over 1 billion chicken sandwiches every year.
I think I know where Jimmy Hoffa is buried. It's under one of those chicken barns. Nobody's digging that up.
Nobody is digging that up.
So one of the other things that we did talk about too is he lost. They didn't say the exact number, but he probably lost 20 chickens to heart attacks.
Yes.
Because a couple chickens just literally dropped dead.
Just when they were rounding them up, 5 chickens died that night because they didn't want to be scooped up, and they actually died of a heart attack right when they were being scooped up.
But they took a couple of them to the vet for an autopsy, and the vet cut them open, and he's like, well, just from a meat standpoint, these breasts are phenomenal. These legs are phenomenal. These wings are phenomenal.
Yep.
Glad I said wings, because up until that point, somebody tuning in might have been like, oh, what famous actress are they talking about? No, we're talking about chickens. Pigs. But yeah, I mean, just looking at the breast meat and stuff, I mean, these things were phenomenal, and he gets to the heart, and he's like, yeah, the heart's enlarged.
Yep.
6-week growth spurt.
Yep. He died of natural causes, bad heart. And they're like, so you're telling me if they don't have a heart attack, then, they might not be big enough. So this is the first time you actually want your animals to have heart attacks to show that they're good enough. Welcome to the chicken industry.
Now let's get to the best part of the movie. The last 15 minutes when Morgan opens up his restaurant.
Yep. So they go to Columbus, Ohio, because Columbus, Ohio is the test bed for fast food restaurants.
Now, why do you think that is?
It's the
Columbus,
heartland of America.
Ohio.
That's the heartland of America.
That's not
It
really-
represents
I
that.
don't think Columbus, to me, the heartland's more central, and that just doesn't seem as central, I guess.
Hey, I'm just saying, for all you people from, I think you're the heartland. So
You guys are the
You are the
heartland.
test bed.
You
represent average America.
Somebody listening to this right now is going, that's why we have all those damn fast food restaurants.
That
now
just pop up.
I know. We have, here in Charlotte, we have a road that if you drive on it, it's like auto dealerships left and right.
Yep.
Well, now we know we're the hotbed for the fast food restaurants.
It sure is.
Dennis and I need to take a road trip to Columbus, and we need to do a podcast from there and hit every fast food restaurant
Road
on the
trip.
hour.
Road trip. Yeah, it was just cool. They wound up finding a Wendy's.
Yep,
an old Wendy's, and that's what they convert into this. So they sit there and they're like, all right, we got all these chickens. We got to have something really good to do. So we need to have a healthy sounding chicken sandwich. Well, crispy isn't nearly as bad as fried. So fried is just a dirty word now. So that's why it's not Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's KFC because fried's bad.
Fried is the F word, Dennis.
Exactly. And they don't want you to say it. So they say crispy. Now, the thing about crispy is even crispy chicken, while it sounds better than fried, everybody knows if it's a crispy chicken, it's not healthy for you. So what can we do to make a crispy chicken sound healthier? Well, how about we grill it, and we'll call it a grilled fried...
No,
crispy chicken. Grilled crispy chicken.
Yeah. Or is it crispy grilled chicken? No, it's
grilled crispy. Yes, it's a
crispy grilled chicken sandwich. Yeah.
So they do a test bed, and they test them out with the with the chefs, and they were like, wow, there's a spicy and a non-spicy version, and they were both amazing. But they're like, but it doesn't look healthy.
Oh wait, no. Morgan goes. So what? His question was basically, so what's the healthiness, or what's healthy about this sandwich? And both the women just started laughing.
Nothing.
No. Which can't be 100% true, because chicken is healthy. If it's fried, if you want to eat healthy fried chicken, you have to peel all the skin off.
But you still
the
have
chicken
the
is
oil.
still healthy.
Right. So what's interesting is they're like, well, it's got to look better, and it looked very appetizing.
It was good.
And it was all of the vegetables and the glaze and everything that they have on it, because it was all healthy looking vegetables that surrounds this fried / crispy chicken.
Crispy.
However, he goes, it still doesn't look like it's healthy, but it doesn't look grilled, even though they basically put it in like a sandwich, where you have the grill marks.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we can't see the grill marks. Oh, well, that's easy enough to fix. You can paint on the grill marks. What?
Food color.
With food coloring out of there, if you have it processed. If you're not processing it, then what they do is they have like a spatula with grates on it, and they take charcoal and a brush, and they literally brush
it over.
It's
a stencil.
Right.
The spatula's a stencil.
It's fake. But they do it.
And, when people saw it and we'll get more into detail in the restaurant, but when people saw it at the restaurant, they just were like, but look, oh, it's grilled. And then he literally told him, he goes, no, because Morgan was obviously there for filming for the first, grand opening of this restaurant. Morgan's like, no, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's unique. They get there and they come up with the 2 sandwiches, and then they have little ones for the kids and stuff like that. And they're like, but, why are people going to flock to ours?
Oh, flock. I see what you did there.
You did.
You did. Slide that in.
Yeah, I hit that one and made a birdie out of that.
Oh, man. That's the best thing I ever heard.
Oh,
Pun City.
We're not chicken to make jokes like this.
Oh, damn.
So they open up this restaurant, and nobody knows the name of it, and you can see like the shots of the news. Morgan Spurlock is opening one up, and the lines are out the door. And it winds up being really, really cool because he wants it to be different, and Morgan, there has to be a twist to it. So Jonathan Bertram, who was he was the farmer who he rented it from. Word got out of that in the Big Chicken that Morgan was doing this, and they found out that Jonathan was helping him. So like Andy was talking about the mafia, they went and basically cut Jonathan off at the knees, and they automatically, even though he had the largest chicken on the list, they put him as number 11, so he got the least amount of money, and they didn't want it coming out. Bad, bad, bad Big Chicken.
Yeah, don't blow the whistle on Big Chicken.
And now they won't even give Jonathan new chicks to grow.
Nope.
They're trying to run him out because he helped Morgan. So we're pretty sure Morgan's helping him, through this, because it was a genuinely, honestly good farm family that you had nothing but positive feelings for. And then you see how they're being traded just for helping him grow real chickens.
Right. So the name of the restaurant is Holy Chicken.
They unveil it, and it's Holy Chicken.
Holy Chicken. A little chicken cartoon drawing with a halo over it. You walk inside, and he just basically it's really kind of subtle. It's nice, nice paint colors and stuff. He did market research on what colors you want to use. You want to use greens because greens give away that or give the feeling of more natural and healthy. So there's greens in the restaurant.
And don't forget the artisans. They did a great one when they were in McDonald's, and they got the chicken sandwich from McDonald's, and it comes in the box, and they're like, look, it's an artisan. They literally have artisans in the back making your chicken, when you can see it's clearly fast food folks that are just doing it. And it's great, but it's all perception. Awesome.
So then you go up to order, and like I said, this was an old Wendy's restaurant, and he's got, just like in a fast food restaurants, there's the metal bars that you walk through, so it's not just a straight line, and on the floor it says the area that those metal bars, or that the metal
distance
bars take up for customers to line up in, is the same space roughly of the outside area the chickens had to roam around in their free range.
Right.
And it said it right on the floor. So the basic gist behind the restaurant is he's not hiding anything. Like on the walls of the restaurant, if you go into like a Wendy's or a McDonald's or whatever, some restaurants on the walls will have the words that say healthy.
Well, okay, so Wendy's was the great example.
Yeah.
There's the Baconator, which is a great, tasty sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
But it's nestled right in between a salad on the left and a salad on the right.
Right.
So you look at it and go, oh, that Baconator looks good. And look, it's between two salads, so it must not be that bad for you.
That's right.
So it's all perception, and it's great. The difference in this restaurant is it tells you all the buzzwords. Artisans, fresh, all natural. And then below, it's the kicker. These mean nothing. And he just tells you straight out.
Nothing. It's hysterical.
They've got pictures on, so you're sitting down and eating it, and then you'll see like a picture of what you would consider a chicken in a fresh farm. There's a beautiful farm, and there's a chicken running around on your farm. So you're thinking free-range chicken on this beautiful farm.
It's a little placard that's on every table.
Yep. And then as soon as you turn it over and you see the chicken, you're like, wow, there's your chicken. I'm thinking foghorn leghorn, kind of chicken. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you flip the card over, there's a picture of our real chickens. And you're like, ugh.
Like, what is that horrific thing with feathers falling off and muscles everywhere?
Right. It was amazing. So in a nutshell, you have to watch this because you wind up seeing they're honest. Everything that you see in the restaurants, they're lying to you about. There is nothing healthy about this, but you're going to eat it anyway because it tastes good.
And that's what everybody said. Everybody loved the way it tastes. I mean, the chefs at that company, CCD Innovations, made a fantastic tasting sandwich. It looked really good. I got to admit, I'd try it. I mean, the place was packed. Everybody said the sandwich was phenomenal. The food was phenomenal. Obviously, the service was phenomenal at the restaurant. They all said they would come back to the restaurant and eat there again. It was just, it was refreshing to see
the honesty
behind it all.
And then you see Jonathan, the farmer. He shows up. He goes, well, I can't believe I'm driving all the way from Alabama to Columbus just for a chicken sandwich. But he walks in and all these people are noticing him. They're like, hey, that's the farmer from the wall. And there's a picture of him on
There's a drawing of him, yeah.
And it talks about his history and what Big Chicken is doing to him and everything. It was so refreshing just to see what they did. It was amazing. And I would highly recommend, because we can't give it justice, even though our podcast is probably almost as long as the movie.
No.
It was great.
Half as long. But we will grade it. Because if you didn't listen to last week's episode, we grade our movies like comic books. And it goes from a 1, which is crap, up to a 10.0, which is near mint perfect.
And crap really isn't, it's poor.
It's poor. It's actually, 1 is actually poor. Dennis is the comic book rating aficionado. I give this movie I can't go perfect on anything, so I got to go a 9.6. That's a high-ass grade. That's a near mint, baby. Near mint plus.
Yeah, for a documentary. So, I'm more into other kind of movies normally. Documentaries, I typically grade low. This one, I haven't been able to stop talking about because I really enjoyed the first one. I'm going to go a 9.4 on this one. It was really good. I wish it was a little longer and they could have done a few more things. But it's an absolute must-see. It was a absolutely fantastic movie. I recommend it to everybody. You can watch it on YouTube
for free.
For free. Both of them, both the original Super Size Me and Super Size Me 2, that's where we watched it. Free on YouTube.
Now, back to the beginning of the show tease. Dennis, what is this story you have about a McDonald's hamburger?
Well, to kind of tie in with Super Size Me, it wound up being the story about the Utah man who unveils his 20-year-old McDonald's hamburger. And you're like, what? Is this like in Super Size Me where they had the fries that never aged? Kind of. So the quick thing, it was a gentleman from Utah, and his name was David Whipple, and he has what's being called the world's oldest hamburger. So he used to go around and talk about decomposition and whatnot for hamburgers. So he had gone and bought a McDonald's hamburger and to discuss this during a number of lectures he was giving. And he got just a regular hamburger, and then he put it in what was a Big Mac tin. It's like a tin toy. But, it was like...
Oh, wait, it was an actual tin?
It was an actual tin. So
it wasn't the Big Mac cardboard.
Right, it was a Big Mac tin.
Oh.
So because they didn't have cardboard back then. That was still when it was paper and styrofoam. So, but he had the original paper of the hamburger, and it was the original wrapper, which was inside the original bag, which was then put in this tin, and that's what he carried around was this Big Mac tin, so that he would take it out and show it to everybody.
Oh, right.
Well, on his final lecture, he wound up sticking it into his pocket, forgot about it in his jacket pocket. The jacket went into the van, and the jacket eventually, after months, went into the house, got hung up. He wound up moving from Logan, I think it was, to a different city south in Utah. It stayed there for years, and then his wife's like, well, obviously she started cleaning house and was like, oh, I'm going to get rid of some clothes. Went through one of his pockets, and what was in there? Oh, well, there's this tin. Oh, there's a burger in there. Whoa. Still has the original receipt and everything from what it was. And he had opened it up after 13 years is when they found it.
Right.
So he's kept it this whole time. And it's still in the exact same shape. And they unveiled the burger. Now, we will leave a link to the story because you have to see what the burger looks like.
Oh, my God. How's it look?
It looks... Okay. So imagine I ate a McDonald's hamburger yesterday on the way back from Myrtle Beach. And it looks just like it, with a couple of exceptions. It's slightly wrinkly. The buns are a little more wrinkled.
The bun's got to have green on it, though.
Nope, not a single.
How does
not
the
a
bun
single
not
one.
have green on it? They don't make the buns. That's bread,
right? The patty. So you can see when he lifts it up, because there's a video. You can see where the pickle actually deteriorated on the inside and went bad.
Wow.
But in the black spot was probably where the ketchup and or mustard was. But the burger, she's like, this looks like something you would have put in your refrigerator overnight, and you're just going to throw in the microwave and heat up.
Oh, my God.
They smelt it. It smells like cardboard. And she's like, oh, it smells like cardboard.
Did either of them just...
Oh, no. No. And they're keeping it there.
Would you have been tempted, though?
No.
Would you have been tempted? Just like a little piece the size of your fingernail.
Not at all. Do you know why? Because one of our earlier podcasts, we talked about the Batman cereal that we did try, and it was ridiculously disgusting.
Right. Yeah,
so I wouldn't fall for this. But he actually is now talking. He goes, maybe somebody will offer me a lot of money because it looks the same.
Right.
But they're saying because of the dry heat and everything like there's no bacteria that generates, which is why they're thinking it is. So he originally did it after 13 years. 7 years later, it's now 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
It still looks like it. It is just amazing to think that I leave something on the cupboard, it goes to heck, and it's disgusting. Oh, yeah. But I don't leave McDonald's out on the cupboard, although we did do the French fry test from the first one, and they are not joking. Those French fries, I think we did it for several weeks, unlike they went much longer than we did. Those French fries didn't look any different.
You know, it's funny, and we're not eating this, but we were cleaning out the freezer a couple of days ago. My wife found this, basically frozen chicken, but not just chicken with nothing else. It was basically a prepared meal, so all you had to do was unfreeze it and heat it up. The chicken still had to be cooked. It wasn't like pre-cooked or anything, but it had all the other stuff on it as well. From 2018, 2 years ago. And she's like, yeah, I'm throwing it away. And we're not eating it. And she just looks at me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm not going to eat chicken that's, even though it's been in a freezer that's 2 years old. She goes, will you eat anything else that's past its expiration? And I'm like, not chicken from 2 years ago, frozen or not. I'm not that dumb. I mean, if it's a cookie that's, 3 years old,
or an M&M that was
I'll
in
open
your
it up.
couch.
Or an M&M. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not that silly, but canned food from 5 years ago I might dabble with, but I'm not eating chicken. I don't care if it's no. So anyhow,
it wound up being an interesting thing. So we'll post a link to it so everybody can see what it is we're talking about, because you really got to see it in person. So we'll put up the links. Find us on the Dennis and Andy Show we're on a number of platforms, but Facebook is where I'll post the link for it. So you should be able to see everything.
Yeah.
And then leave any comments or questions or anything about it, because we would love to hear from you.
That's right. All right, guys, that's it for this week. We will talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Until next week, grab your 3D glasses.
Get your favorite comic books, roll them up, and put them in your back pocket the way you should treat comics.
Throw your pigskin up on the mantle. This is Dennis.
This is Andy. Later, friends.